So as we approach the 2024 election, news has recently come out that the Biden administration is going to lower marijuana from a Class A drug to a Class C drug, or from a Class 1 drug to a Class 3 drug. Right now, it's classed with drugs like heroin, cocaine, bath salts, and all types of crazy shit. But they're about to lower that, and maybe in hopes of getting more voters, because they know that half the fucking United States smokes weed. And at this point, if you're not talking about full legalization, ain't nobody trying to hear you. So I'm going to pull up this clip on CNN and get the full news report and react to it live with you guys. Let's see what they're talking about. By the way, this is the As the World Burns podcast. My name is Minty Burns. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Drop your opinion in the comments. And just because we're doing a weed episode today, I'm going to take a hit of my Jungle Boys pen, you know what I'm saying?
United States government's drug policy. That's our national lead today. Sources are telling CNN that the Biden administration is moving to reclassify marijuana from a Class 1 drug, along with cocaine and heroin and the like, to a Class 3. The decision to move marijuana out of the same class as drugs such as heroin and bath salts will bring huge implications for research on the potential medical benefits of
the fact that it was classified as a Class 1 drug with bath salts and heroin and cocaine is absolutely ridiculous.
Marijuana, huge impact on criminal justice, huge impact on federal banking regulations and the U.S. economy, as it's already a multi-billion-dollar industry. CNN's Kayla Tausche is at the White House for us. Kayla, lay out how this reclassification will work.
Well, essentially, Jake, it's the latest step in a multi-year process that President Biden initiated in the fall of 2022 when he instructed the Departments of Health and Human Services and the Justice Department to begin a review of whether this rescheduling should happen, whether marijuana should be classified, as you said, with cocaine and heroin, or with the likes of Tylenol, to study the health benefits of that. And in August of 2023, HHS did tell DOJ, and specifically the Drug Enforcement Agency, that it had found that there were medical benefits. Since then, DOJ has...
What a surprise. There's medical benefits to cannabis. Like, these guys are so late in the game right now. They should have did this years ago.
And preparing a draft rule on this, and I'm told by a source familiar with the matter, has submitted that to the Office of Management and Budget today to begin a regulatory review process. So, yes, this is a major move, and it will bring major shifts to how the drug is classified, how these criminal offenses are treated, which President Biden has twice now been pardoning these simple offenses, but it is still going to take months for it to take effect, Jake.
So, Kayla, as of 2023, Gallup polling shows half of the American people have tried marijuana, weed, grass, cannabis, pot.
Bro, this ain't the 1960s. Probably more than half of the population has tried weed.
Whatever the kids call it these days. It is worth noting, I know that I'm skeptical by nature, it is worth noting that we are in a presidential election year. The legalization of marijuana is popular among young voters. And this announcement is coming, you know, as President Biden is in trouble right now, according to polls, especially with young voters. Am I too cynical to be looking at the polling numbers when I look at this decision?
Well, Jake, personally, I appreciate that you're asking me for the views of the kids, even though I'm a few years outside of that age bracket. But it's true that this is not necessarily a mobilizing issue for the 18 to 34-year-old voters, but it is widely popular. The legalization of marijuana, 70% support it, 79% within that age bracket. And it should be noted that President Biden campaigned on this in 2020, so he'll be able to go back and say, I said I would do it, and I did. But not just Biden, Jake. It would also be something that HHS Secretary Javier Becerra could talk about if he decides to run for governor of California in 2026.
Oh, interesting. Oh, so you're...
This guy on the left is like the most square bear nerd I've ever seen in my life. Like, he's talking about weed like we're in the reefer madness era, 1950s or some shit. Like, bro, get with the times. Biden is clearly doing this to appeal to the youth and try to get more voters. I'm not exactly sure what Trump's stance is on all this, but Trump definitely doesn't give a fuck. Trump is definitely with the legalization of cannabis federally in the United States. I wouldn't doubt that. It's looking like Trump has already got the upper edge anyway, so Biden is like scrambling to do whatever he can to gain some popularity.
You one-upped me on the skepticism.
The Biden administration is moving to loosen federal regulations on marijuana. That's according to a source familiar with the matter. The plan would reverse a 50-year precedent and reclassify marijuana as a Schedule III drug, which means it has low or moderate potential for dependence. It's currently a Schedule I drug. Now, remember, that's the same category as substances like heroin, LSD, and ecstasy. Jeff Zeleny is in Washington, D.C. Has been.
You know what should be a Schedule I drug? Tobacco. Tobacco. Because that's got the most, not the most, but you got a lot of dependence. It's super addictive. Just weed itself is not very addictive. It should, be a Schedule III, like they're saying, or even less.
Following this for us. And Jeff, if you could just put this in context for us in terms of what this reclassification means, because we're talking about this in kind of technical terms, but it's, to use two words, a big deal.
It is a very big deal, Paula. There's no doubt about it. I mean, the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, is going to be presenting this rule to the government, basically the Office of Management and Budget, to prevent a time for open comment. So there is a long time before this is going to go into effect, but with the Attorney General signing off on this, it's really a historic step, and here is why. For 50 years, as you said, marijuana has been a Schedule I drug. That means it has no medical use, and it is in a much higher classification. It's already been legalized in 38 states here in the U.S. and the District of Columbia. So there's...
Just want to say, free everybody that's locked up in the United States for cannabis right now, because that shit is absolutely ridiculous. We need to make sure that everybody with a weed charge gets pardoned in 2024, 2025, you know what I mean?
Been at odds with the federal law and the state law. This is largely designed to bring those two together, but it's been a campaign promise of President Biden when he was running the first time. He talked about this in the State of the Union address just a couple months ago. He said that he would expunge convictions. He said you shouldn't go to jail simply for using. So what this is going to be is really a monumental shift should all this get approved. Now, there's no saying that this will be done by Election Day because, again, this is the federal government at work, so there has to be a months-long approval process, getting a public comment. But, Paul, this is one of the rare things in Washington and government that crosses party lines. In many states, including red states, conservative states here in the U.S., there have been legalization. So this is really long overdue in the eyes of many, but it's also opening the door to a huge business that cannabis has become here in Washington and, of course, all across the country.
Yeah, Jeff, we had some of the stocks, the rise in some of the cannabis stocks. We had it up earlier, really tremendous growth there. We're seeing canopy up by 78%.
Damn.
I don't have a lot of time left, but I know you're all about the political
Now I'm FOMOing into not investing in weed stocks. Fuck.
calculus on this. You just told us it was a campaign promise. Do you think it might help with younger segment of voters that Biden needs?
Look, I think there's no doubt that younger voters will like this, but also, again, across the board, many older voters also use medical marijuana. So largely this is something
and
that,
recreational.
the Biden administration believes is past due, and of course they believe it will have a political benefit as well. They say that's not why it's being done.
Okay, that's enough of that. That's cool. Good attempt at getting the youth buy-in, but I think Trump is already on it. Trump's probably already on the same page, so you're probably not going to win much with that. But for all my cannabis and weed smokers out there, shout out to you. It was just 420. Hope you guys had a blessed 420. You know what I'm saying? I'd be hitting the Jungle Boys pen. I've cut back a little bit on my weed use recently, but I'm still smoking, you know what I'm saying? Whether you smoke or don't smoke, do you support the legalization federally of cannabis? And do you agree with this? Do you think it should go from a Schedule I drug to a Schedule III drug and just be treated less harshly in general? Like, nobody should go to jail for weed. Whether you smoke or don't smoke, it doesn't matter, you know what I mean? That's my opinion on that. You guys let me know what you think in the comments, of course. My name is Minty Burns. This is the As the World Burns podcast. Subscribe, like, and always give your opinion. Hope you guys are doing great. Have a blessed week. I'm out of here for today. Peace.